Ladies and gentlemen, now today on the Korean live stream, we've got our very first look at Purgatory Ban, and this character is looking pretty nuts. I think there is so much potential for this character to just slot into all sorts of different teams, and he seems like he's going to be mad annoying to deal with because he's super tanky, his passive gives him tons of additional health, he's a health buff for the entire team as well, and he hits like a friggin' truck. Look at this level 2 cleave card on turn 1. Dude, that was a 540k cleave off a silver card. So yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous. Granted, that was like best case scenario draw for Barn there, but at this point as well, via his passive, you see he's got like, 5 of these grey buffs. Each one of those is 8% health, so he's got 40% additional health via that, and also via the buff itself, he's got 30% health on top of that, and then I think you've got like Arthur, and I think on this one there's also Twigo on the back line, so the more you stack up his health, the more tanky he is, but also the more damage he deals as well. So if I've got the early translated abilities right, his cleave card and also his ultimate only scale with the maximum health value. So it's not like the one Escanor where its current health is a completely new condition that is based on the maximum health of the character. So yeah, that is pretty damn nutty, man. I think there's all sorts of crazy potential, but also the fact that he can like massively buff the health of the entire team as well. And then I'm not entirely sure of the secondary effect. I think it's something like boost recovery rate by 50% or lifesteal or something like that. But yeah, it's a massive health buff, and this guy is just cleaving like a god. Like, that didn't look too impressive in terms of the health pool then, but it was still like a 300k cleave there, and it just seems like there are going to be so many interesting ways that you can build up this barn with certain teams, certain gear sets. But one of the crazy things is the ultimate also scales off maximum health as well. So you can see there, literally like 1.4 million damage wipes the entire team. So yeah, this barn, even for PvE stuff in the right scenario, could be really nuts. I'm curious to see if he's actually going to be good for stuff like Fort Solgras, maybe some of the slightly bigger dungeons there. So yeah, he's a very weird champion in terms of the design that they've gone for, but I think, again, he is going to have his uses in the right content, but I think this guy's going to be an absolute monster for PvP and also Guild Wars as well. Guild Wars, the ability to like cleave the entire team on defense, offense, I see being absolutely amazing, and also having like that massive health buff as well, because I think Guild Wars AI tends to prioritize using buffs on certain teams. So yeah, if he can make the defense like super annoying to deal with while being this like constant cleaving threat that also has an ultimate that's just going to instantly wipe your team as well, again, could be very annoying on defense, but also by the same merit, could also be amazing on offense as well if he's keeping the team alive, you know, getting himself topped up, and you have some sort of healer on the team as well. I think could be a very interesting addition. So yeah, overall, he looks like a good addition to the game. I don't know if it's just me, but visually, I feel like there's something about this barn that feels like a little bit lazy. It feels like they kind of just put the Purgatory jacket on Barn and like gave him some glowing effects, and I guess to a certain extent, you know, that is Purgatory Ban. But yeah, it just doesn't feel like you know, a mind-blowing character when you look at the glow up in comparison to all the Barns. Again, this may just be me, but when you look at like Assault Meliodas or Lost Fane or like Festival King in comparison to the older versions, or for example the one Escanor, again, there's like a really big difference visually, whereas this barn is you know, very very same old looking barn. You know, I'm not too sure what I was expecting, man, but visually, I don't know, he could be a little bit more exciting. So let's jump on to the second PvP match that they showcased in the live stream, and this just really shows you that it's probably going to be a barn ult rush meta. Again, they are in geared PvP, and I think the Arthur on the opposing team is actually jacked up to about 420,000 hit points with the buff. So yeah, the amount of additional stats you can get is crazy, and even off that bronze card, dude, turn 1, that's still like a 200k cleave. Very strong for dealing with stuff. I'm actually curious about this barn's potential when it does come to auto farming, because again, if he's like hitting this hard on turn 1, there could be some really interesting teams and setups around this character depending on how the AI uses his cards. But I think they should always go for the swipe first turn. Usually the AI, I think when it comes to auto farming, if you've got it set on aggressive, doesn't usually use buffs unless they're merged, but I guess it depends what buff it actually is. So yeah, I'm curious to see how that interacts with Barn, but he could have some potential there. But yeah, these teams are like really toxic that they were using on the live stream, because there's so much health, and essentially this match is decided by whoever gets Barnes' ultimate off first. However, he had a little bit of a misplay the previous turn, attacking into what is it, Arthur's Drain there. But yeah, there's some crazy damage off Barnes' Cleave, man. He is hitting like a friggin' truck. So I think damage wise, he just has some mental potential. I think here he's going to go for the Escanor Merger, going to fire off the Drain, but really unfortunately he didn't have another Barn card to rush the ult, because if he did, he probably would have been able to win this one. So yeah, he fires off the ultimate, but this is where, like, I was just like, dude, these tank teams are going to be ridiculous. They are so incredibly overpowered in terms of their survivability, and we were kind of exploring like this theme with the release of what is it, Support Arthur a couple of weeks ago, and just like buffing up the one Escanor as much as we could, and we got him to about like 600,000 hit points. But this Barn is going to be able to go so much higher in comparison. I think with like maximum health buffs, you actually might be able to get to maybe around like 700,000 to like 900,000, because again, he's got like I think a gold actually a 50% health buff plus 40% on top of that, plus Arthur, plus Twigo, maybe Deldry on top of that. So yeah, there's so much you can do to like jack up this Barnes damage if he's like purely based off maximum health there. And you can see here, Arthur did not even get dented 50%, so that damage reduction plus his passive plus Barnes buff plus like a Twigo on the back or a Griamore, again, it's just a crazy recipe. And also he's using the Tarmiel link there as well, so you also got a massive heal on top of that. But yeah, that was just absolutely nuts. And then we got Barnes ult here, so he's going to use the health buff, he's going to slash in and also fire off the ultimate, but also the AoE slash has an additional condition where it deals detonate damage, so more damage the more ult gauge, and the ultimate deals double damage to any buffed up opponent. So yeah, for Goddess Low Shields, man, just absolutely nukes there, but that was a casual almost 1.3 million ulti, and you can see the lifesteal on this man is crazy as well, because he actually regenerated for about almost 700,000 there. So yeah, he just looks like an immortal tank, man. He looks incredibly strong. I must admit, after watching this live stream, my mind's a little bit racing with like crazy ideas for Barn. I think there's so much cool stuff you can do, not only in PvP, but also PvE as well. Because again, if you can like really jack up that health, and it's so much easier to kind of meet those like crazy conditions to get massive health buffs when it does come to PvE scenarios. Yeah, I feel like the damage is just going to be off the charts. And also, again, if he's like healing up constantly as well, it just seems like he's going to be a massive threat. But then again, he's not really that focused on single target damage. He's mainly an AoE character, so for future like Tower of Trials, maybe multiple bosses as well, could be very good there. But yeah, I think this Barn is going to have so many uses, but I'm curious to see how good the character does perform at 1 out of 6 in comparison to 6 out of 6, because I'm assuming in the showcase here we've got like a 6/6 fully maxed out Barn. So yeah, I'm curious to see like how the ult is at 1/6, especially on whatever like top meta Barn team does emerge, because I imagine when it comes to the win criteria for Barn, it really is going to be reliant on that ulti. So I'm not too sure in the wider scale of things if he's going to be one of these characters like Lost Fame Meliodas that is a little bit more whaley in comparison, because again, to have those reliable wins, you do need a 6/6 ulti. But again, unfortunately, it's one of the very common themes. We saw it with Lost Fame, we see it with Amelia as well. But hopefully he has some pretty good early scaling on the ultimate, and is still like a good and viable champion without 6/6. Because yeah, I really do not want to 6/6 this man on the Korean version. I think I'm probably going to summon tomorrow for one copy, do a little bit of testing, have a little bit of fun with this character, because he does seem like he's going to be really cool in lots of different scenarios, but at the same time, I just hope he's a good character without the reliance on that fully maxed out ultimate level, because I think people are just getting sick of characters that rely on like 6 ult in order to really do their work. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on Ban in the comments section below, and if you did enjoy today's breakdown, please do smash that like button. Thank you all very much for watching, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.
You are not subscribed to the whale sin of spending? Who decided that? Subscribe now, or enjoy the bitter taste of regret.